in the pattern. And in the scorebook with a catch and a fumble. Niners were getting their D-line set up. They dropped 9 in coverage. Warner's pass is intercepted. Niners bring 5 to Warner. He gets time and throws an interception to Terrell Brown as Warner loses the football. That is 5 first-half turnovers. Look at Bolden losing the football after a gain of 15. Will that be a 7th turnover? I believe so. Unbelievable.
Lots of uhs we're hearing. Believe it, folks, just when you think the Arizona Cardinals have things figured out, they go up and stink up the place on Monday Night Football in San Francisco. After arguably the worst game of the year, they now head to Detroit to take on a bad Lions team. And we'll get to today's Cardinals matchup in just a little bit. But first, we want to talk about the fantasy implications. Can you believe it? Already week 15 in the NFL season. We have Jeff Corchini and Russ Bliss, our experts, of course, from FantasyFootballStarters.com. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
We don't want to talk about the Cardinals, but I know we have to.
Yes, we do. But it's week 15. We're moving forward, right, Tess? This is playoff time, semifinal time. This is like Christmas for Russ and I already, you know, Christmas early.
All right, more and more injuries that we're seeing. Let's talk about the latest with that and see where we go around the league. Jeff, let's start with you first.
Yeah, quarterbacks. We've got we got to take a look at Tom Brady. Got to take a look at oh, who's the guy? Sanchez. Sorry there.
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez.
Okay.
Those are the guys that are probable this week. Dinged up a little bit, but they should be able to go. They've got good matchups. Then you've got Matt Ryan, who's questionable, probably the most questionable quarterback going in this week. So keep a close eye on him in the next couple of hours to see if he's going to start or not. Vince Young's got a dinged up knee. He should be a go. And then Matt Stafford is going to definitely be doubtful. I don't think he's going to play this week.
No, Dante Culpepper should start.
And Russ, there's some running backs that are on the list, the injury list, that are questionable this morning.
Oh, yeah. Topping the list has got to be Steven Jackson with the St. Louis Rams. Steven Jackson had been on a tear, but he's had a back injury that's been preventing him from practicing. Well, you throw in the fact that swine flu started going through the Rams facility this week.
Oh, really?
So he's questionable with both the back injury and the flu.
Ooh.
Then there's also Michael Turner, who's going to be a game-time decision for the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to try and see in pregame warm-ups if he can play on that ankle. You got Coral Buckhalter, who's doubtful for the Denver Broncos. He's not expected to play. And then 2 guys that are definitely out, Brian Westbrook of the Philadelphia Eagles and Kevin Smith of Detroit. Kevin Smith was placed on injured reserve. His season is over. Westbrook's going to try and practice next week, maybe back for week 16. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely not this week.
Okay. Now, we talked about quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Of course, it couldn't be a worse time for the Cardinals and fantasy football players if you have Larry Fitzgerald on your list with his knee injury. Is he going to play today or what?
You know, they say he's going to play.
Okay.
He says he's going to play. How much he's going to play, we don't know yet, but he's definitely questionable for this game, as is Calvin Johnson at Detroit, their superstar wide receiver. So we also have Terrell Owens and Sidney Rice, who are dealing with some illness, and then Percy Harvin, who has also been suffering from migraines for the last couple of weeks. So these guys are all questionable players, which means in the next couple of hours, pay attention, go to our website. We're keeping updated on whether or not these guys are going to start or not, Tess.
And the reason why we talk about injuries, of course, is basically if your guy's sitting on the bench, you're not scoring any points.
That's right, and this is not a weekend to start the wrong guy.
Starting the right guys, that's what we've been talking about. Of course, your fantasy football studs, they came through Thursday night. We're talking about folks like Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, Maurice Jones-Drew. They all had huge games, and basically that's been your mantra for the whole thing, Russ, is keep with your studs, keep them on, don't trade them, and hang on to them.
That's right. You definitely, at this point of the season, we know who the real studs are, who the reliably good players are, and who's inconsistent. So we've got a good idea. Guys like Aaron Rodgers. Last week in week 14, Aaron Rodgers had his first game of the season without any touchdowns whatsoever. But up until then, he had been just on top of the fantasy world as quarterback. So if you manage to get through week 14 and you're thinking to yourself, wow, he didn't go out and play very well last week, you still throw him out there again this week. He has proven to be reliable and a guy that you can rely on. You don't want to be second guessing yourself at this time. Same thing with Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald. Bad games last week, but these are guys that have been producing on a regular basis throughout the season, so you definitely want them out there for your fantasy teams. With Larry Fitzgerald, I think he's going to play. I think if you've you've got him, you have to start him.
Keep him, yeah.
And even Randy Moss. Randy Moss had a bad game last week, got badmouthed by the Carolina Panthers defensive secondary, talking about how he doesn't play hard. I'm willing to bet Randy Moss comes out with a vengeance this week.
Oh yeah, he's got to prove all those talkers wrong,
That's
right?
right.
And we've been talking about this too, of course, the Cardinals. Terrible game Monday. They have a chance to change things around, and they can't ask for a better team to play. The terrible Detroit Lions.
Yeah, they've only won 2 games in the last 2 years. In Detroit, we're actually predicting, Tess, a 31-10 victory. Looks like the Cardinals. And if you look at the Cardinals' offense against the Detroit Lions' defense, they should do really well. Detroit's passing defense is last in the NFL. Their running defense is 25th in the NFL. So look for guys like Kurt Warner. Look for guys like Anquan Bolden to probably have a big game. We're predicting Kurt Warner to throw for 300 yards. Anquan Bolden probably 100 yards and a touchdown. And then also, this is a good game for Beanie Wells to get those fumbles out of him.
Okay.
He'll probably get some extensive playing time right now. Maybe we're predicting maybe 70 yards and a touchdown. They should stick with him. I think they're going to keep an eye on Larry Fitzgerald. They don't want to tweak it. They're going to go into the playoffs, see how he plays, let him get out there. But look for Detroit to take a tough loss from the Cardinals this week.
They probably don't want to waste Fitzgerald. I don't want to say waste, but you know, keep him healthy.
Absolutely.
If it's playing against a bad team, do they risk it, right?
Exactly, Tess.
All right, Russ, let's talk about the Cardinals' defense. They should be a great unit to have on any given Sunday, of course. And now they have the Rams back here next week, a depleted Lions squad today, so they're looking pretty good.
Oh yeah, the Arizona Cardinals fantasy defense is one of the top fantasy defenses the next 2 weeks. This week against the Lions, next week against the Rams, 2 teams that are both very deficient offensively. But for the Cardinals, what they're looking at with the Detroit Lions this week, you got Dante Culpepper most likely to start. That offensive line has allowed 37 sacks so far this season. Culpepper's been outscored 74-3 in his last 2 starts as the quarterback for the Lions. And the Cardinals, the only thing they have to really worry about is Calvin Johnson, because Kevin Smith, their running back, we talked about it earlier, he's out. So Maurice Morris is going to get the start for the Detroit Lions. And he'll probably be backed up by Cedric Pierman and Aaron Brown, but Aaron Brown, the rookie, he's also injured. So they're down to their second string and fourth string running backs. Calvin Johnson's going to be a game-time decision with the knee. The Arizona Cardinals defense ought to be outstanding this week.
All right.
I don't know about outstanding, Tess. I don't know about that.
Don't say that.
This kind of sounds like last week, right? Everybody thought they were going to win, so better be real careful here, right?
Yes.
Detroit's backed up, but no, I think they're going to
pull through for us. And finally, last but not least, real quickly, can you mention the free offer for our viewers?
Absolutely. If you go to register at fantasyfootballstarters.com, then email Jeff at fantasyfootballstarters.com, and I will upgrade you to our Power Player package, which gets you our alerts. You can use our lineup analyzer this weekend, our trade analyzer, jump on the forums. Absolutely free, $9.95 value. Take advantage of it. I guarantee it's going to help you win in the playoffs. If not, hey, what do you got to lose, right, Tess? It's Christmas.
Last-minute decision changes, all on their website, so you've got to join.
Got it.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas. We'll see you back here next Sunday.
Merry Christmas.